Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with another episode of Kings and Queens of Real Estate with Sebastien Courret. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a native of Paris with an MBA from NYU. Sebastien's professional journey began with a family of winemakers in Bordeaux. Prior to entering real estate, he achieved significant success owning a fine wine importing business, serving as the president for a premier wine distributor, and working as sommelier at the Ritz Carlton. Fluent in French and English, Sebastien is also proficient in Spanish, German, and Mandarin and Chinese. Sebastien serves as the vice chairman of the Food and Wine Committee of the University Club. He does million-dollar listings like clockwork. Notably, Sebastien was pivotal in initiating the international partnership between Compass and Barnes International. He's a top Washington of 2024 by the Washington Magazine. He's one of the top 500 agents in Metro by Real Producers. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat to listen from the vice president, managing partner of Sebastien Courret Alliance.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Vincent. I appreciate the platform. I mean, to talk a little bit about like what I'm passionate about, which is real estate and also relationship with my clients. So, by the way, thank you for the introduction. I've been here for a very long time, and the first question I'm being asked is, what is the most misunderstood thing about your industry, your work? So I'm a realtor, and the misconception. I'm sorry, Vincent. Do you want to interject?
Yes, Sebastian. Can you first, before we get into the questions, can you please talk to everybody how you got into the wine industry, how you ended up at NYU, and how did you discover real estate, and then how did you end up in Washington, D.C., please?
Okay, so thank you for the question. I went to NYU because I was a model in Paris, and I went to American University of Paris for my Bachelor of Science. And the only place that was having a reciprocity about my agency back then was in New York. So my parents and I decided to go to NYU and to continue my modeling, so which is paid for my education. So I modeled till the end, and I was renewed. My contract was renewed for another 7 years, and my parents had my dad had a very eloquent say. I mean, to me, is like, you're gonna fade, but you have a brain, and so you do something with your brain? And I was like, well, that was provocative, and I did. So I went to Singapore. My first job was in Singapore for Thomson Multimedia. I was doing a PR and marketing there, and then San Francisco, and then I created my wine import business, and I was very successful. And war in Iraq, Freedom Prize, French products were not very attractive. I got spat in my face at the Thomson Hotel in New York for speaking French. So I sold my company, and I got recruited by the Ritz Carlton corporate office in Chevy Chase to be a wine buyer, and that led me to a conversation with the staff deputy chief of the commissioner of the IRS right before Christmas many years ago. And she looked at me, she turned to me, and she's like, "You real estate genius." And that was it. The day after, I swear to God, it was probably 10 o'clock at night, and 8 in the morning, I already scheduled my I realized that I have the worst Amazon glasses right now, but I mean, I just don't see anything. So this is what you're gonna have. And I literally bought my classes, and in April, I was starting my real estate career. I just left everything behind, and since then, I've been top Washingtonian realtor since the first year. So I've been doing that for 10 years, and so here it is. Here we are.
What do you think is a key to success for you to just take off year one? Because 80% of the agents usually fall off after a year.
A lot of people think that, oh yeah, I can show a property, I can have an open house. I mean, this is one very little minuscule aspect of our profession. I mean, it involves many things, and guiding clients toward the purchase, it's one one aspect of it, but also guiding seller to sell their house, their more priced house. When you buy a house, I mean, it's not as difficult, I would say, I mean, to buy a house than selling a house. Selling a house is like, okay, this is where I've been living, this is where I've created memories and intimacy, and I have all those memories, and now you're telling me my house is not worth X amount of money, my house is not perfect. I mean, when you do a home inspection and things like that. And so walking through that, I mean, can be challenging that time. So you have to do it with ethic. You have to do it with, you have to think about your client before you think about yourself. And a lot of agents just think about the commission, and that's the wrong approach. You just need to want to help your client first, and then the rest will come. So if you mean what you're doing, and then like for instance, I say very often there are real estate agent and realtors. So realtors are like supervised by the code of ethic. Real estate agent are not. So I mean, generally no lying, nothing that are not ethical. So there are realtors and realtors as well. So they are like doctor in dentistry or cold doctors who are not going to do an upper arch surgery. And same thing with realtors. There are some people that will be very good at doing that on part-time. I hear a lot of people doing that on part-time. Those people are hurting the industry. They are hurting the end consumer. When you have a seller that doesn't know that what is happening behind curtains, where like, for instance, I just was in a transaction with a very green agent, and the property had been on the market for 17 days, right before the birth of 4th of July. So, I mean, the beginning of the dead season. And then my client offered a cash offer, no contingency, $25,000 under. And the agent, green agent, recommended his client that it was not a good offer, and they got very offended. So, long story short, my client got disenchanted by the whole, because we would have ended up by $15,000 difference. First of all, the property was overpriced by at least $20,000. My client was like willing to pay, $5,000 over. But the client guided his seller to not accept. This is 101 real estate no. You will always counter and always entertain an offer. This is a suicide. And now what is happening is that the property is not being sold. And now they're going to be squeezed and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. Further and further. The agent was not able to be a good advisor and a good representative of his seller. And that's, these sellers do not know that. They think that, well, they met that young guy, energetic, but that person was not the right ambassador. They were not well equipped to advise the seller and guide them toward and to the seller. Being a realtor is not always the philosophy of yes. You have to say no as well. No, that's not realistic. You have to sell at that price. Because very often the agent, to get the listing, they say, oh yeah, your house is $2 million. Was in fact, it's like 1.8. And then they just get the listing. And then little by little, they're being squeezed because the market is just saying, yeah, you are overpriced and it's not going to work. But that's the philosophy, is like, I'm going to be reduced. It doesn't matter. I'll sell it at the end. I am not like that. I do not like to be looked as a clown. I priced correctly so that we can extract and elevate the price at the end. That's the way you create a value. And then at the end, you extract more than if you were like too exaggerating on the price and then you're being squeezed down. This is not a good way to do real estate. And I do believe that anyway, when you have the best, this is a big purchase, this is a big sell as well on both sides. You want the expert. You want, when you are like going through, you have a skin disease, you're not going to see a generalist. You go see the expert. This is the same thing with the real estate. Same thing. You go through the expert, the person that is going to be the right ambassador to articulate you and to articulate the seller and the buyer on both sides. And some people would definitely shy away from having the blunt, honest conversation with their client. And I don't. And this is why probably, I mean, I'm successful because I've always been like, no good news, no bad news, just news. I'm very blunt. And you want a result, then this is what we need to do. We are a team. It's not you, it's not me, it's we. We're doing that together because it's a representation as well of my business. So I want to extract the most, and but at the same time, it doesn't mean that I am taking advantage of the buyer if I'm on the selling side. But I mean, everybody, I don't believe that there is a big winner. I don't believe there is a big loser. Everybody should feel like they are a winner. And that is an art, an art of negotiation, the art of the relationship with the other agent. I mean, managing the expectation on one side, which is a seller, or on the buy side, on when you're on the buyer side. So everybody should feel like they're a winner. This is an art, and then very often agents are just they are the vehicle of the frustration of their client because they have not been able to guide them. You cannot. This is not your house. This is the house of someone else. You cannot be offended by the offer of someone else. I mean, you are just there to guide them, to be the voice of reason. I mean, it doesn't mean that you are going to lower the price, but you have to guide them. And there's sometimes if you have like price the house $1 million and actually the price is 975, you should make some margin and guide the seller and say, actually, the comp are like supporting 975. They're offering 975 because the buyer agent is going to run the same comps that you have been running. And it's 975. And this is why you are being presented at 975.
No, it makes total sense, Sebastien. It makes total sense. And has your identity of your ideal client, has it changed from your first one? And tell me how you got your first one and to now. Are they usually the same? Have you always gone after high luxury, or how did you get your first one? If you don't mind sharing.
My first client, I mean, I started on May 7th, and my first clients, it's not like that for everybody. My first clients were May 8th, and on May 9th, I was under contract. So it doesn't happen. It was for $850,000, an average price in DC, and it was cash. And so it was an easy one. It's not always easy, but my ideal client, I mean, it's about relationship. It's not about the price point. It's about what is luxury for me. Is not a price point. It's the relationship. The relationship is like someone. I was just having lunch with a client of mine who has a very tiny condo, $360,000. I just sold it last week. And I generally do not, I only take past clients and referrals. She called me because of my Yelp, which by the way, Yelp reviews are unsolicited and they're like coming from past clients who are voluntarily wanted to put a review. So I have good reviews. They are only 5 stars and good reviews. I mean, I mean what I'm saying. So I take very good care of my client. And for that, I do not take an immense load of clients because I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. I mean, to the quality of what I'm doing. But she called me and we had lunch today, and she confided with me. I mean, at the beginning of the conversation, she's like, nobody wants to take my $350,000 back then condo. I sold it for $10,000 above. But she's like, nobody wants to. Some agents were like looking down at me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not that agent. I do not rot my soul for a price point. I will help you. So I helped her. And today she told me, she's like, well, Sebastien, I want to tell you something that we want to sell. I met the husband. She's like, you have been so exquisite about what you're doing. We want to sell our $3.1 million AUP house. So it's not always like that, but if you do the right ethical thing and helping people, they see the value. And they see the value and they're remembering that. And now she has like all those referral of all our clients who are saying, she's now my ambassador. I mean, I was her ambassador, and now she's turning to be my ambassador with all her friends and family. And now she's like asking me to, she asking her friends, to have me as a realtor. So that's great. That's lovely. compliment for me. I mean, and that's what I'm looking for. No, I'm not looking for that, but this is the best compliment I can receive. Someone who's like, without me asking, she's like, you know what? Now I'm a crusader. I'm your ambassador. I was her ambassador first, so, and now she's just like, she just want to turn that around and just like, and it becomes a religion, when you have a relationship that is so personal. I could be across the street from a client for 20 years and not from someone 20 years and not knowing them, but doing a transaction, a lot of intimacy in terms of like finances and things like that. I mean, I just come into play. And then so very quickly you have to break that bridge of like trust. And then once you are the trust of someone, that's the most valuable thing. I mean, it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with anything. But the trust is what is valuable. The relationship, the trust is valuable. And then once you have that, everything goes well, the transaction goes well, the tone goes well, and then your business goes well. But you have to mean it because people can smell it.
I believe you. In 2024, are you still doing outbound lead generation, or is mostly all your business now just coming from referrals?
Never lead generation. I mean, if you're in lead generation business, you should not be an agent.
Oh, all right. Explain to me your secrets of how you get how you're not like stressed about where your next deal is coming from. Then,
my first year of being an agent, I was eating open houses every Saturday, every Sunday. Open houses, but the moment you are in the open house, you have to mean what you're saying. Mean that you want to help the person, adding value at the beginning, adding the value from get-go. You are there. You're not sitting in the open house. You're there, and you just like, you want to say some insight about the market, some insight about the neighborhood, insight about what you're seeing, the trends, things like that. Things that you just have to show your clients that there's something different about me, and that I'm not going to be shy about saying it. So, and not like the plain blah, blah, blah that everybody is saying. Just be meaningful. Be meaningful what you're saying. I mean, you, Vincent, is talking to me. And I've like listened to you first. I listened to you and I'm just like trying to see what you are at, what you want in like, when you are an open house, there is something that you want about like an open house. Or other than like, if you're coming from a brunch and that you have been intoxicated and like you have had several Bloody Mary and that you just want to see a house that you will never be able to buy. I mean, because then most of the people were here. They are supposed to be here because they want to be here. But even the ones who are coming for brunch, I mean, they are dreaming about something. There are like people who are like coming to an open house because they mean business about wanting to buy a house. And there are some people who are all the business of dreaming about a house. But you can start like by brunching and like you're seeing that property at $3 million when actually you should start at 500,000 condo, and 8 years after that, you'll be able to have an equity and you will have the 1.5 million. And then like 15 years after that, you'll be at 3 million. You just have to start somewhere.
Wow, you really see the long game in this.
Yeah, yes. And a lot of my clients, I mean, started with like a very, I mean, good but modest 500,000, and then they out there. I have one client that just like bought a $3.2 million. I mean, she started 9 years ago at 949, and 9 years after that, she's at 3.2. Yeah.
You're literally dealing with the 1%ers of all of America, Sebastien. I applaud you for that. And like, what's the most misunderstood thing about your industry, your work, you think, in 2024?
They think that it's an easy work, that you're like showing property. Everybody can do that. No, I mean, it has to. There are many layers about this profession, and I mean, only people that are well equipped to maneuver and to guide that buying or that selling can really be successful. And that, which probably I'm going to answer one of the thing that you want to talk about, is like right now the industry is changing, and agents who are meaningful, who are ethical, who are equipped, I mean, to be the specialist, to be the advisor, the ambassador are the ones who are going to be prolonging in that industry for a very long time. The ones who are not meaningful about what they're doing, they're just thinking about the commission. They're disappearing little by little, and they have hurt the industry because there is like that misconception and that mistrust about like they have not been a good advisor. They are not negotiating on the behalf of your client to the best interest of your client. They are thinking about themselves. I mean, and the end consumer. I was there at a listing presentation yesterday, and my client just said, "Just like my agent was horrid," and we say that a lot. She was not negotiating. She was a friend. I mean, and she was not negotiating on their behalf. The developer was like walking all over the agent and all over the clients, and you have to combat at time. I mean, and just like to watch for the best interest of your client. And sometimes it's not pleasant, but you have to do it. You have to be the armor, I mean, for your client. And this is what an agent should do. You have fiduciary obligation to your client, and sometimes there is unpleasant conversation, but you have to take them head first.
No, amazing. And what was your turning point in your career? Like, did you start out at Compass when you first got in, or what made you want to start your own shop?
No, I mean, I started at Compass in a team. A year after that, I was I decided to do it on my own. So back then, the rules at Compass were you had to be like doing $10 million on volume minimum, which was already done for me, but you had to be 2 years an agent. And so I was my general manager says like the rules are the rules, and because I started at Compass, I was agent 49 or something like that. It was really at the beginning. We're 26,000 now. This is why my email address is Sebastien at Compass. I was the first Sebastien. So very. I'm an OG, yeah. I'm an old person at Compass, yeah.
That's amazing. You're like a pioneer.
I'm a pioneer, yeah. I mean, they call that the legacy agent as well. So I was there, and then I was like excused. So I came to TTR Sotheby's International Realty, and I was there for 5 weeks. And then Robert Reffkin, the CEO of Compass, found out that I left, and he called me, and he's like, "Sebastien, we did a big mistake. You left." And I'm like, "Yes, I left. I mean, I just went to New York. I mean, to the auction house. I mean, he's like, you need to come back." I'm like, "No, I'm not a yo-yo agent. I'm not doing that." He's like, it was a long conversation. He's like, "Please give us a chance." I said, the rules. He's like, "Well, the rules, we're going to change the rules for you." So long story short, I was brought back 5 weeks after, and I love Compass. And I've been there now. It's going to be almost 10 years.
Well, you don't know how fast time goes until you get there.
Exactly, right? But I love the platform. I grew up with the platform. When I started, I was like, Sebastien at Compass, there was no platform, there's nothing. And I grew up with that. I grew up with the platform. The platform is the most intelligent, sensible platform with so much AI and so much things to help the agent, and more importantly, to help the client throughout that, the insight and everything else. So, I mean, we evolve. I mean, I do not write my offer. I do not sell my selling. I mean, from even like month at time, I adapt to the market. I adapt to technology, and I change that every single time. So I do not write offers like I was writing offers in September. I just do it differently. And then when I see agents writing the same old offer like they were 10 years ago, I'm like, oh God, well, don't wonder they are not getting their client into a house. So yeah, I know I probably like come as a very brutal. I'm very honest, there's no good news, no bad news, just news. I'm just very passionate about what I'm doing.
No, you're super transparent. You're super transparent, as you should be. You are. Nothing is random. You literally got to where you are because of due diligence and executing.
Sorry about that.
Nah, no worries at all. No worries at all. If you
I'm
could
gonna turn
change
off my phone. Yep.
if you could
Turn off
change
my
one
phone.
thing. No, no worries. Take your time. Take your time. Thank you for sharing your time with me, by the way. If you could change one thing about the industry, what would it be and why?
I would do the exam, the real estate exam, way more complicated. Way more complicated. And I would just like have a higher standard about like that exam. I mean, it's not for everybody. I mean, already when I took my classes, we were there were a lot of people that took the classes. I mean, out of all those people, only two of us, I mean, got the passed the exam. So, I mean, they say they think it's a hard one. I don't think so. But I would do it even harder, and I would do it more selective. I would make everybody pass the code of ethic. Everybody should be a realtor, not no real estate agent. They should always be supervised by the code of ethic. So that, and I would just even add more. I mean, just like, because when you think about it, it's like an attorney, a doctor. I mean, you are like handing out like very important things. I mean, and the health of someone, the house of someone. It's not like you're selling a baguette, a loaf of bread, you know, I mean, a piece of bread. It's very important. It's like all the saving of someone that is like buying, and their head is spinning. And if you are not the expert, well equipped to be the best advocate for them when they are negotiating that, you can hurt them. And when you're not supervising the contract, when you're not knowing the contract, the whole language, the law language, all of that can be, I am not an attorney, but we understand the contract, you know, so, and we guide our clients with that. So it can be damaging. And I see that very often. I had an agent the other day. I mean, there was 9 offers on my listing, and I applauded him for asking me a question that most agents, because they're too proud to ask that question. He asked me, he says, you know, Sebastien, I've been writing 7 offers for my client. He said, why? I mean, because he didn't get taken by me either. But he asked me a question very important.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, what do you think I'm not being taken? Is it my client? I said, no, it's not the client. It's you. And he's like, how so? I'm like, you're not presenting your client at the best light. You have to have a hard conversation with them. I mean, so that they are showcased perfectly. So I went through all the scenarios that he could have done better. And guess what? The week after, he was under contract, and he was again multiple escalation and multiple offers, and he got it. And he's like, thank you. But you know what? It doesn't happen very often. Those agents would rather dig their heels in their wrongful approach of the industry that ask for another agent, like, what do I do wrong? And I applauded him for that. I'm like, bravo. But not a lot of agents are doing that. There are amazing agents, and the amazing agents will stay in the industry, and the other ones will leave.
Now the chips will fall where the chips are supposed to fall. You have high standards, and I love that you give constructive feedback, even if it's your competition. You're striving to make the industry better, which I like. Yep. And like, what's the most like courageous decision you've made recently? Like, how did it impact you?
The NAR, I mean, lawsuits. I mean, for me,
in August, right? How do you think, is that going to affect your clients, or is it more like first time home buyers, like FHA people?
I mean, it really depends on the actor who is the realtor, who is going not going to shy away about like really what's at stake. I mean, and for me, I see a lot of agents shying away from that conversation. For me, I was again yesterday talking to a seller about it. That's the first conversation I have. I have the conversation. What does it mean? What does it mean? And my client loved it. And I mean, look, the commissions are not going to go anywhere. I mean, we can change and massage the articulation about it. I mean, someone has fiduciary obligation on one side and needs to be paid for that. I mean, and if people want to be represented, but want to represent themselves, I would not wish that to my worst enemy. And first of all, I don't have enemies, but I mean, I would not wish that to anybody. Just like it's opening a can of worm that can result in like spending way more money than the house that you're about to purchase. So don't mess up with that. I mean, but I explain to the seller what's going on, and they appreciate the bluntness about it. So it's not changing my business, but I relish in the fact the challenging conversation. I love that. I mean, I really love that. I mean, that's what I embrace first. The people, the conversation that nobody wants to have, I am going there first. I'm like, I love those things. I love those things. That's just food for my brain. I love those things.
Now you don't beat around the bush. You get straight to the point. And what's your end goal with this? Do you want to build a team up, or do you just want to help as many families as possible on your own?
I would love to have a legacy, yes. So I've trained a lot of agents to be very successful. I will continue to do that. So that at some point when it's time for me to step down, I will send my portfolio. I will give them my portfolio. They can manage my portfolio. They can pass it on. I will make sure that the agents who are taking my portfolio are as ethical, as meaningful, as ethical than myself. So, and even better. And but I will train them. I mean, when you wanted to be a realtor, I mean, taking the exam has nothing to do with like what you have to do. And so, but you have to be scripted. And this is what I do. I script my agents, and then they turn it around with their own spice, you know? I mean, and they make their own, because otherwise you sound like a parrot. So they can take the platform and like the base of it, and then they make them own. And then a lot of my agents that I've trained are like very successful. Very.
No, I believe it. You're like a unicorn in this space. Whatchamacallit? What's the next big thing we should expect in the real estate industry? Aside from what's happening in August, do you think one day we'll get so people are just buying with blockchain, or how do you see that?
That again, at some point there is one.
Do you think people will be buying with like blockchain technology, or will always be paper contracts, how it is now?
No, the technology is evolving. I mean, the technology is, I mean, especially with Compass, it's very powerful. I mean, before we had all those different platforms to do all the contracts, to sign, to do all the things. Now it's all in one platform. Like the Amazon wheel, Compass is the same thing. Something. It's like you create your file, you create your business tracker. I mean, all your clients, the contacts, and from that you're creating the contracts, and then your e-sign. It's all in one platform, which is amazing. Nothing has been done like that yet.
Yeah, you get the full suit package, man.
Yeah.
And then like what's the story behind your most memorable success or failure in real estate?
Failure it was not a failure. Actually, it was a success, because I was able to make some agents very successful. If you are thinking about then after that they have to jump off the nest, I mean, you can call that a failure, but because they are not staying with me. But this is what the intent was, is like to make them successful, and then after that being able to jump off the nest and fly by themselves. So you can create that. You can say that it's a failure. Not in my mind.
No, it's not. So if they leave you and they become more successful, maybe. But if they leave and they don't become successful, then it was just on them.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that they are leaving. They are flying by themselves. This is what was supposed to be. You know, I mean, I don't want them to be under me and just forever. You know, I mean, they have to. What makes me proud is that someone that takes my script, takes my training, and get even better than me.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes me feel. I'm an enabler. I'm enabling someone to be even better. That's great.
No, you really are leaving a legacy. You're gonna change people's lives, man.
I hope so.
No, I love that. And like, who or what inspires you the most in your work?
The person that inspires me the most is my general broker, and I'm sorry, just general broker who has been like a fourth generation of brokerage. I mean, as the most brilliant brain, she knows the business like the back of a hand. I mean, she is even better than in my mind a real estate attorney. She knows the sense of real estate law, and then she understands all of that. She's like amazing. And on the personal note, my husband was like, he and I mean, respect each other's brain, and this is what we find the most valuable in each other, our brains, and we have a great time exchanging. I mean, the skills of our brains. So
that's amazing, Sebastian. I'm glad you found someone that fulfills you, completes you.
yeah.
And if you could have dinner with a historical figure, who would it be and why?
Historical figure, I would love probably to meet Louis XIV.
All right. Why is that?
He came from an unpleasant childhood where he was very threatened, and he made France the court that everybody knows about. I mean, and he was an innovator in many ways. And I would love to. I have several questions I would like to ask him. So, what he got inspired, because I know it was a darkness at the beginning in his life, and from that he chose to use that darkness as a trampoline to make the opposite, and I found that inspiring. So, not a lot of people know that. I mean, that side of him, but he came from a very dark father. I mean, Louis XVI was like supervised by his prime minister Richelieu, who were like very much putting him under control. He and his mother, Anne of Austria, and but he used that to his advantage and created what everybody knows about France, Versailles, and the court of Versailles. So, and trust me, it was not like that at the beginning. So I like that. I mean, it's like he was a builder, he was an innovator, he was an influencer back then. I mean, the biggest influencer that in the history of France, in my mind.
No. You have very high self-awareness, and you realize people have like their own life story, their own journey. I like that about you. And then what's a piece of advice you would get to someone starting in 2024? Like how would you advise them to, okay, this is how you're gonna be successful in the first year. This is what you gotta do. Boom, boom, boom.
I want to continue. I mean, my journey with my clients. I love my clients. I love the referrals that they're sending me, and I do want to put that legacy. And once I've done that legacy, I will retire with my husband in different countries because we have several properties, and we will retire from. We'll do 3 months in. We have property in France. We have several properties in US. We'll turn, and we'll do 3 months in France, 3 months in US, and then we'll swap with other people. 3 months in Osaka, 3 months in Buenos Aires, 3 months in Johannesburg. We'll switch because I mean we love to travel, and I think that 2 weeks, 3 weeks is not sufficient. If you want to know the culture, you have to be there for 3 months at least. So we want that.
You live a delicious lifestyle. That's a stupendous lifestyle, I would say. Like very few live that.
But I have to tell you, I work diligently 7 days a week. When I'm here, I work. This is what I do. I love what I do. And I don't feel like, I mean, in the morning when I know I have so many clients to see and so many of these things to see or properties to see, that makes me very happy. Very, very happy. I mean, finding like knowing the person, knowing the clients, where they are coming from, what they need, what they want to achieve, that makes me super happy. I feel like I'm like a small chain link of like a place where they're gonna harbor memories, intimacy, I mean, safety. And we have an echo?
No, I think you're fine.
Okay. So that's what I like. I like that.
Sebastien, I hope you manifest that. I really do. And you see, like, how long do you be planning until you do, like 5-10 years or like 20 years down the road?
I do not see myself retire anytime soon, but at some point I will. So probably like I would say 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. I mean, yeah, 20 years, 25 years. Yeah. I would probably like in about 20 years we start going down a little bit and just like do some. Okay. Sorry, someone is at my house.
No worries at all.
But yeah, I mean, I love what I'm doing, so I do not. I don't have any perspective of slowing down anytime soon.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far in your career being in real estate?
Be ethical. That's really the thing that I would say. Just be ethical. You have to be ethical in this job. I mean, that's really. I mean, if you think that you can have a shortcut, imagine that you are watching yourself doing it. You are the own supervisor of yourself. If you're thinking yourself that you are having a shortcut, don't do that shortcut. Don't. This is not the right way to do it. You're handling people's savings, their biggest property, their biggest possession. I mean, just be present, be ethical, just do the thing the right way. No shortcuts.
Well, you really act with the most full integrity.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, you're right. You really do see it as this a long game. That's amazing. And what do you think is the key to maintaining a work-life balance, and how do you apply it to your life? I know it's long nights, short years for you, but how do you do it?
At the beginning, it's very hard because you want business, you want to do when you start. So you're like tempting to have like conversation at like 10 p.m. I mean, with clients, you need to have a regimen. I mean, for me, it's like, unless I'm negotiating an offer, do not talk to me after 6 p.m. You can call me at 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. And that's it. Because otherwise, I mean, at some point, you're going to burn out, and your spouse or your kids or people who are going to be with you are going to feel neglected. And that's not good either. You need to have a right balance. You need to have a proper dinner. You need to work out. I mean, I work out every morning, and I have dinner. I mean, with my husband, and then we put the phone down, and we have a quality conversation. That's important, because otherwise, because at the beginning, mea culpa, I mean, I was like only thinking about my business, and that was not very good for my husband. So not good for you either, because I mean, at the end, there's no moment for yourself. So.
Yeah, no, I love it. You really are. You really do have that work-life balance figured out. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. And what's the most challenging aspect of being in your role in today's world?
I'm sorry, Vincent. I'm gonna have to go because I have like a client coming in. Is that like? I mean, can we just like do it? Continue another time or not?
Yeah, 1000% we can.
Okay. I mean, I'm so sorry.
No, all good, Sebastien. All good. Honestly, this has been a great talk, to be honest with you. You really are like one of the best to do this.
Okay. Well, I mean, please schedule another one with me. I have so much more to tell you about.
All right. Sounds like a deal.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you.
Best luck with your client.
Okay. Bye-bye. Hey,